All right. Shalom. Before I get started, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shah, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shah, Barakatha Yahweh, Barakatha Yahweh Shah, Call Halal Yahweh, Bahashim Yahweh Shah, Bahashim Rachakwadash. Double honors to the elders apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well, and who are the true leaders of Israel today, starting with Elder Apostle Tahar on down. I also like to give double honor to the head and the elder of the Men of Israel camp, Chazat, whom I teach under, down here in Greenville, South Carolina. Shalom. And I also like to give another shout out to you, sincere Akim, you brothers out there that's pushing this word and this truth in all sincerity and righteousness in these last days. All right, to y'all, I'd like to say shalom. All right, now coming back through the spirit and power of Yahweh Shem with another exhortation video. And pretty much I want to do a lesson, all right, going into how these gas prices is rising up, man. All right, if you don't know what's going on, you haven't been watching lately, the war with Iran and Israel has caused America to get involved, which causes the gas prices over here in the Americas, to rise, man. All right, and you people was at a comfort state, man. All right, y'all thought shit was going back to so-called normal, right? Y'all thought shit was going back to how it used to be, the old days. Niggas were reminiscing about how the old days was, how shit was normal, so-called normal. Hey, man, now, niggas starting to get back on guard, niggas starting to worry a little bit, and we been telling y'all this, man. This ain't nothing new. All right, y'all the ones that want to get back into that comfort state, thinking nothing was going to happen, We tried to tell you so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Indians, and even you so-called white people, you other nations, man. We tried to tell y'all that this place known as Babylon the Great, a.k.a. America, is not going back to normal, man. That was just what's the word? Illusion that, to have y'all, thinking shit was going to go back to normal, man. Hey, man, this shit ain't going back to normal. If anything, it's going to get worse, man. All right? It's only going to get worse from here on out, man. Lord willing, Yahweh Ratazah. Especially with the Lord Passat coming up, man. The Lord Passat is around the corner, bro. And we already know when Yahweh Passat comes, that's judgment, man. That's judgment. So, hey, man, this is the time to be on guard. This is the time to be on your watch, bro. More than ever, man. All right, especially, with this war going on, man. All right, and I'm going to read this little article because I'm in the state of South Carolina, man. All right, the gas prices, I just went to go get gas, and this what made me what inspired me to do this lesson, man. I literally just left the gas station, man. I had to put some gas in my car real quick. I was like, nah, damn, bro. I looked at the gas price. I'm like, fuck, this shit just steady climbing, bro. This shit is almost $4. Like, last time, the gas prices rose up, it wasn't as near as higher than what it is now, This shit is what, when I went to go get gas, this shit was at like, what, $3.75? I know it was a $3.70 something, but I believe it was $3.75, man. So these gas prices are steady rising, bro. Now people like, fuck. People back to like, damn, now they got to budget their money a certain way. Niggas was just spending and, going wherever because the gas prices was cheap. Now they like, oh, shit, you ain't seeing niggas doing too much driving now. There ain't gonna be no hot girl summer now. Y'all asses are gonna be in the house. Lord willing. So it says what South Carolina drivers need to know about rising gas prices in 2026. It says the national average for gasoline has fluctuated around 370. Yeah, like I said, it was around 375. If I'm not mistaken, the gas I went, because I go to QT Quick Trip, is one of the biggest gas stations down here in this way in South Carolina. Quick Trip. This shit was at 375, man. Roughly, it was around there 370 something. But like it said right there, the national average for gasoline has fluctuated around 370 per gallon, while South Carolina's average is slightly lower. It says a U.S.-Israel war with Iran has led to rising gasoline prices across the United States. So this is going on throughout the whole Americas, man. All right, some states even higher than what we paying. Like over there, in Cali, man, they paying what? Down there $7, $6, somewhere around there, man. Man, we go to Cali, bro. shit. Because, you know, down here, we're going to probably put about 20, 25, you know, maybe 30. Shit, in Cali, they ain't getting you no goddamn. That's like putting $5, you know, in, you know. You ain't getting nowhere. You put that in Cali or somewhere, you know, if you from, you know, South Carolina or somewhere like that where the gas prices, you know, around this price, you know, you go to Cali, you fuck, man. $5 ain't getting you no goddamn where. That's getting you across the goddamn, the train track right there, you know, across the goddamn block, you know. But it says Trump has urged allies to help protect oil shipments through the Strait, though most have resisted. It said, let me move this out the damn way. It said, as of March 17, the U.S.-Israel war with Iran has entreated an 18-day, and gasoline prices across the United States continue to rise as the war drags on. That's right, because before this war was going on, before it, you know, heavily got conflicted, you know, shit, what, maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, gas prices was at about what? It was going back to how it used to be, you know, before the C99 and shit started happening, right? It was around 230-ish, you know, around that. Hey, that was good, bro. $20. That's a full tank right there, damn near, bro. 25 for sure. You know, depending on what type of car you got. But 25 was gonna do you justice, you know. Now 25, shit, that barely getting you a half tank, man. You know? But see, that's the illusion you nigga was under, bro. Y'all thought shit was going back to normal because these gas prices were starting to look like how they used to be before the C99 and shit started happening. You know, the clubs and bars started opening back up. But no, the Lord's about to put America back on lockdown and really show you so-called Negroes and the Spanish and Native Indians. He's about to show you terror, man. All right, he's about to show you why, you know, they call him Alashaya, man, which means, you know, demon-like power, bro. He's about to show you so-called Negroes, bro, and you nigger women and all you nations, really. You know, he's about to show you. He's about to put a true terror on the earth, bro. You know, y'all was, like I said, y'all was in that peace and safety, you know, mindset. Matter of fact, let's open up. Let's get these scriptures, man. I know it's in the book of Thessalonians. It's like, yeah. There we go. 1 Thessalonians chapter 5 and verse 3. It says, for when they should say peace and safety, right? That's the illusion you niggas was under. Y'all was under that peace and safety mindset, thinking shit was coming back to normal. Ain't nothing here in America is going back to normal. If you think it is going back to a normal, if you think this place is going back to normal, you under a delusion. You delusional at this point, bro. You don't see all these prophecies that's taking place, and you thinking shit is going back to peace and safety? No. The Lord said, what? For when they should say peace and safety, right? These presidents and what America say, I mean, not America, what Trump say, make America great again. He wants you to think America is going to be back to all peace and safety, happiness, and, you know, good times. No, that shit is not happening, man. You know, that's a fake illusion he's giving y'all, man. It says, for when they should say peace and safety, then sudden destruction cometh upon them as travail upon a woman with child, and they should not escape. You see that? It says, then should discretion cometh upon them. That's what you about to see. Discretion is coming amongst you people. You see the discretion that's about to take place with this war? All these nations, you got what? If I'm not mistaken, you got 15 plus nations. Matter of fact, let's look it up. Hate when that shit happen. As of March 2026, the conflict between Iran and Israel has escalated into a regional crisis involving over 20 nations. I ain't really no damn 20 nations. Because the Lord said, there's only, 18 nations? Matter of fact, let me make sure. It's either 18 or 17. Table of Nations in the Bible. Yeah, 18 nations. So, I had to make sure, 18 nations. Like I said, I was right. 18 nations. The Lord said there's 18 nations. There ain't no 20 nations, but we understand that Esau, gonna, divide nations and, call them whatever, Hey, that's the devil. But that's the devil for you. But anyway, like you said, over what? Oh shit. As of March 2026, the conflict between Iran and Israel has escalated into a regional crisis involving over 20 nations. So, hey, that's a world war. If all these nations are getting involved, that is a sign of war, world war, man. And we understand that that's approaching. That's approaching. And what the scripture tell you, the second war is passing. Behold, the third war coming quickly, bro. You see the gas prices is rising. The reason the gas prices is rising because they need that oil and gas and shit for the tanks. They need that shit for, the fighter jet, these jets and shit, whatever, Esau military equipment, bro. That's what they need it for, So they taking all the gas and let you people just suffer over here, So this shit is really going down. But like it says, for when they should say peace and safety, then sudden discretion cometh upon them, and travail upon a woman with child, and they should not escape. You see that? So judgment is coming, bro. Judgment is coming. It said, then sudden discretion cometh upon them, and travail upon a woman with child, and they should not escape. You niggas ain't gonna escape the judgment of Yahweh Shem Washai. The Lord just judging, through the gas prices right now. Let alone the real judgment that he's going to bring, So let's get with Ezekiel. All right. Let's go to the book of Ezekiel. Verse 33. And we're going to start at verse 30. Ezekiel 33 and verse 30. It says, also, thou son of man, the children of thy people still are talking against thee by the walls and in the doors of the houses, and speak one to another, every one to his brother, saying, come, I pray you, and hear what is the word that cometh forth from the Lord Yahweh. Salakia. It says, verse 31, and they came unto thee as the people cometh, and they sit before thee as my people, and they hear thy words, right? They hear the words, we was telling them, months ago that, hey, shit ain't going back to normal. Judgment's about to take place. The war with Iran and shit about to, pop off. We was telling you niggas this shit for a very long time. Very long time. It said, what? It said, and they sit before thee as my people, and they hear our words. Yeah, they was hearing it. But they would not do them. But they didn't want to take heed to it. They didn't want to come out here. You so-called Negroes, Hispanics, and Native Indians, the male specifically, y'all didn't want to come out here and do the will. It says, but they would not do them, for with their mouth they show much love. Yeah, they were showing much love, saying, yeah, brother, I hear you, brother. But, I got stuff to do right now. I'm busy. Hey, you never too busy to serve the Lord, man. Salakia. Y'all about to shot, bro. Yeah. But yeah, you never too, busy, to do the will of Yahweh Shem Washai, man. It says, and they hear thy words, but they would not do them. For with their mouth they show much love, but their heart goeth after their covetousness. You see, their heart, that word heart, goes into your mind, right? It says goes after their covetousness, the things that they want in this world, the things they love to do in this world. They was too busy on that instead of doing the will of Yahweh Shem Washai. You see? So now they're going to be cut off guard, when these things take place, because ultimately they weren't preparing themselves. They thought shit was going back to normal. You know? Verse 32. It says, and lo, thou art unto them as a very lovely song of one that hath a pleasant voice and can play well on the instrument. For they hear thy words, but they do them not. You see, they hear the words of Yahweh Shem Shah, but ultimately, like I said, they don't want to do it, you know, for whatever reason, because their heart goeth after their covetousness. You see? Verse 33, the point. And when this coming to pass, yeah, the things we was telling them is coming to pass. It's very much coming to pass. It says, and when this coming to pass, Lord will come. Then should they know that a prophet have been among them. Now y'all knowing that the prophet Yahweh Shem Shah was sent. Now you gonna don't be surprised, you know, in the upcoming time, people start, you know, popping back up to the camps asking questions. But now the Lord got it to where at the point, you know, even with the elder of our camp, the elder Kazak, you know, he's even, you know, starting to shut his mouth, man. You know, when people come up to the camp and ask questions, he's starting not to want to even deal with them. The Lord is making his tongue dumb. Like the scripture say, he should make our tongues dumb. To at the point he don't even want to, you know, even deal with, you know, asking questions no more, you know? Because apparently y'all not taking heed, you know? Y'all wasn't taking heed. But now that shit is about to start back hitting the fan, you know, and people about to start asking questions because the shit that's going on in this world, it's gonna be too late. The Lord ain't trying to hear y'all questions no more, you know. So let's get this last precept, then we're gonna close it out. It's the book of Romans, chapter 13 and verse 11. It says, in that knowing the time, right? We already know what time we in, man. We in a time of not peace and safety, but we in a time of what? Destruction. It says, in that knowing the time, that now, right now, it is a high time to awake out of sleep. It ain't talking about no actual sleep, bro. You know, you go lay your head down and go to sleep, fall asleep. No, the sleep that it's talking about is that, you know, that having a, you know, slumber mindset, bro. Not wanting to search the scriptures, not wanting to, you know, do the will, right? That's the sleep that it's talking about. It's a high time to wake out of sleep. Y'all spiritually sleep. It's talking about that spiritual sleep, not seeking the Lord, man. It says, in that knowing the time, that now it is a high time to awake out of sleep, for now is our salvation nearer than when we believe, because these prophecies are happening. Our salvation is near. The war that's going on with Iran and Israel, hey, it's about to bring, you know, World War III, which we understand World War III is going to be the end of this place known as Babylon the Great, a.k.a. America, man. You know? So it's a high time to wake out of sleep. You so-called Negroes and Hispanics and Native Indians need to wake the hell up before it's too late. But only a remnant, you know, is going to, you know, awake. And that remnant is damn near sealed, you know. It's good, you know, the Lord could have it to where it's only, you know, a couple of elect could be sealed. If not, the whole elect is probably sealed right now. We don't know. But we know it's close because of what's going on out here in this world, man. You know, with the tensions rising with Israel and Iran, you know. So Lord willing, these prophecies speed up. And Lord willing, we get right before, you know, Yahweh Shem Shah bring judgment. Speaking of myself, first and foremost, man, I got to get myself right, man. I got to make sure that I'm on my P's and Q's before the judgment, you know, Yahweh Shem Shah take place, you know. So Lord willing, this video was edifying. I'm going to close with giving our praise and glory to Yahweh Bahashem, Yahweh Shah Bahashem, Rechakwadash. Double honors to the elders apostles of Great Millstone who rule well and teach well, and who are the true leaders of Israel today. Start with Elder Apostle Harold down. Double honor to the head and the elder of the Man of Israel camp, the Chazak, whom I teach in the down here in Greenville, South Carolina. And Shalom to you, sincere Akim. Shalom.